All right, what's up, buddy? Welcome to the Friday Live.
We're here and we're live, maybe. But either way, it's been an amazing last week, amazing day. Like I was saying earlier, bluebird, fresh snow. Doesn't get any better living in the mountains, but doesn't get any better.
What are you trying to grind my gears here right now? Just like break me down?
Come home, Scott. Come home.
Come home. Yeah.
hmm
Tomorrow I'm renting a snowmobile and going sledding here in Ontario. So
Nice.
that'll be okay. Get a little bit of brop
Mhm.
under under my bum.
Awesome. Awesome. So today I kind of threw this out, our little question about what does retirement even mean these days.
Yeah.
I really don't think it's kind of what it used to be. So first of all, what did retirement used to be? What's if I was to ask you that question, what would you say?
Well, it's like you work until 60, 65, and you check out and you get your pension.
hmm
And
hmm
I don't know what you do. You golf or you go to Florida. I have no clue. But that's
Yeah,
the standard model, I would imagine.
yeah, that's fair. And
Yeah.
if we were to ask, say, somebody in their 20s right now, I don't know the answer to this, but and you ask them what the word retirement meant to them, would it mean the same thing to them? Like, would they say the same answer?
Well, it's like it's so different because the generations have changed, right? And if you look back,
hmm
like our parents' generation, you worked a job the whole time. Oh,
hmm
yeah. Anyway, I can hear you, but you've got frozen a little bit. Uh,
Still
anyway,
here.
you'll work yourself out, I'm sure. But that's the deal. It's like you just worked the job, the same job, and you worked until you retired. But our generation works like 10 jobs before during our career.
hmm hmm Um, so now, since that's what it used to, when someone, are you working towards retirement right now? Are you
Oh,
trying to
good.
like,
There you go.
here
Okay, you're
we go.
back. Yeah.
I'm back. So that's the question right now. Are you working towards retirement, or does does your goal and how you're living not even have that word retirement around it? Is there ever going to be a point where you're going to be kicking your feet up and like not working towards something? Like the word retirement, I think in the past, what I kind of had associated with it was that we work for somebody else and we put in all of this time until we're 65 and we're working to our goal, which in essence should have been when we're 65. There should have been some like magical thing waiting for us when we're 65, like a boat or a house in Florida or an island somewhere
Yeah, so
that
watch.
everyone had dreamed up. Um, and then all of a sudden most people get there and they're like, I can't do it. And I've even heard these stories, and I actually worked with a guy when I was really young that he retired and like a year later he died. And it's like because their whole life revolved around working this job for somebody else, and then when they finished they didn't have a purpose anymore. And that's kind of where I'm leading with this whole purpose thing, because for me, the word retirement isn't even my vocabulary right now. Like, I'm not doing what I'm doing today so that I can stop doing it at some point. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but the model's a little bit different, right? I mean, the like what you're doing today, right now, I would argue, is that you're building enough of a foundation, you're setting it up so your life up so you have recurring revenue moving forward. So at the time when you like no longer want to work, there's residual cash that's just coming in. And the like back in the day, the way that you did that was you worked a job your entire life, and then at the end of it, as long as you worked to a certain age, your pension was topped up to a point where it could provide you a lifestyle after work. Like we all have to
Mm-hmm.
stop working at some point. Like that's the thing. You can't. Well, some people will die at their desks, right? But it's like you probably want some time at the end of your life where you're relaxing. But the only way you're going to be able to relax is if you have that residual cash flow coming in. And a way of doing that is like if you're working for a company and they offer you the pension, then you hang around until you maximize that pension out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Maybe it's
totally.
just like
So
go ahead.
no, I mean you're so right. And I guess I'm just like kind of stuck in this mindset right now because this is kind of what I'm going through. That I'm like, there was there's this saying where it's like if you're working doing what you love, you'll never work a day in your life, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And that's the whole idea is like, even when I get to be older, even when I have enough money, say, I love the $10 million question because of inflation. It's not the $1 million question, it's the $10 million question now.
Right.
It's that I want to be working and building my life towards something that when I have all that money, I'm doing what I'd want to be doing then. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, and that for me stems around purpose and that's kind of what I'm looking at is like,
Hmm.
if there's so many people that go through their lives working these 9 to 5 jobs or whatever. Some people love it, but some people don't, and that's the thing that kind of like gets to me. It's like they're working for 40 years of their lives to get to this 65 point and then like retire,
Hmm.
right? But they've just come home from work every day hating 40 years of their lives,
Yeah.
which is this is and I mean, obviously, we all need to make money to survive. That is like number one. I honestly understand that because there's probably so many people that are going to be watching me going like, you're living in a dream world. We all can't just quit our jobs tomorrow and start doing what you're doing or doing something that we really love to do because I'm
Yeah.
not going to make any money.
Hmm.
And I totally agree with that we can't just quit our jobs. It's not a reality. We need to make money to survive. But even so, my roommate, this is a good example. He's from the UK and he came here and he's kind of struggling. He kind of got locked down here because of COVID and stuff. And then he got a good job working online in Nelson, which is amazing. And he came home one day and he's just like, I'm just not passionate about this. Like, I
Right.
got a good job. I can live wherever I want. I can do it remotely. And he's like, I'm going to start a passion project.
Yeah.
He's like, I really like coffee and I always wanted to like have a coffee truck somewhere, kind of thing, a coffee van. And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, that's amazing. Even if he doesn't get to that point and
Hmm.
like get that right now, he's got this project that like fills his cup. He's excited to like come home and start writing down how much it's going to cost and like, what kind of coffee he's going to get and stuff. So he's still working, he's still doing his job, he's really good at it, he's making money, but now he's got some passion. And even if it doesn't work for that next year or whatever, while he's been like daydreaming and building it, that's amazing. And maybe that idea will stem into something else and something else. So it's kind of the art of daydreaming, which we've talked about on a show
Yeah.
before.
Totally.
It's,
Did I tell you about my epiphany? Because it kind of rolls into our conversation of the joy, peace, and purpose. Did we talk about
yes.
that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we talked about that live yet, but I think it kind of rolls into this as well. It's like, all right, I came to this conclusion that you need to have these like three pillars in your life. You need to have joy, and your joy can come from whatever. And like for us, it's it is backcountry skiing, snowboarding, surfing, whatever it might be. That kind of provides joy. Some people like spending time with family, but you kind of want to know what yours is because then you can say, okay, this brings me joy. I need to be doing some of this. Then you have your peace, right? And this is an equation that part of the equation that I hadn't really thought about until I'm my later 30s, from pushing 40, close to 40 here. So I hadn't really thought about that peace element. But like a lot of people miss that, right? And I think that like for me, it was always like, okay, if I can just be by the lake and like in the hammock, I get this peace. But even if I can just be by myself for a period of time and read, I get peace as well. So it's like, okay, that's different than joy. Like joy is kind of the exciting stuff that you do and it like puts the smile on your face, but the peace like brings you the calmness, like the kind of the meditative side of things. And like people will do yoga and meditate to get the peace side, but then there's the purpose. And this is like kind of going back to what your roommate's doing. And it's like, yeah, you can work your job and your job can provide for your life, and your job, the money that your job provides will possibly be able to bring you more peace and more joy, but you still need the purpose, right? Like, so if he does his job and he does the coffee shop or the coffee truck that he's working on, well, now you like fill that purpose element. And I think that for people that can find that purpose out of their work, like their actual work, their kind of day to day, that gives them it really rolls and overflows into that joy, and it gives you the peace as well. So it's like that's when you hear people say, "Oh, I don't work because I love what I do." Well, I mean, there's a small minority of people that they actually can achieve that. But if you can know what your purpose is, and then you can roll that into your vocation, that's a good thing. And I think maybe then going back to like our retirement conversation, then all of a sudden you're not really like waiting for that retirement to click over, because I think what everyone people think is like when I retire, I'm gonna have the joy, I'm gonna have the peace, and the purpose might be, I'm gonna go on the golf course and like play some rounds. But uh, anyway, that's what I came to conclusion of. But to get there, I had to have a couple of those pillars get rocked really hard. Like my joy pillar got knocked over, and my peace pillar just like fell and shattered. But I've
Mm-hmm.
always like I really find a lot of purpose from work, and I'm always working, so that the purpose column's usually pretty strong.
I, I like that. I like that. And I just, when you were talking there, I wrote something down. Well, I wrote two things down. But one, for me, um, passion plus purpose equals fulfillment.
Mhm.
Um, and I think fulfillment is a huge, huge, huge indicator of if we found those two things. Because I know when I had my passion, like snowboarding and backcountry skiing and all that stuff, or snowboarding, that I didn't feel fulfilled.
Right.
It wasn't until I found my purpose and stopped doing something that I hated that I finally felt the fulfillment. And another thing for me is choice equals freedom. So, and the choice idea is like you and I, we're choosing to do this. Like
Mhm.
before, it was like when I was going to work, it was like just to make ends meet, just to get a paycheck, just to live. And I
Yeah.
felt trapped and I felt like I had to do it. Where some people in my same industry, they don't feel the same way and they do feel fulfilled because they're choosing that.
Yes.
They made the choice that this is what they love to do and that's
Yeah.
what they want to do with their lives. So and that's the crazy that's the thing I want to be very clear of, like when I'm talking about these equations and things that work for me, that so works for me. And it's such a personal thing because you can have two people that are doing the exact same job and one is fully fulfilled in their lives and the other is can't like just can't wait till the day ends. They're just wishing their lives away.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very, very um, personal thing that sometimes just sitting and taking some time to be, daydreaming again. I think that's a huge thing to like go
Yeah.
back to what would I be doing tomorrow if I didn't have to go to work? Like what would I do tomorrow? What would I wake up and just be so excited to go do?
I
Just
think
start
that
feeling
the,
that.
the choice, like just asking yourself that question, like, would I choose to do this if I didn't have to? Like we all gotta work, right? Like, of course we
Yeah.
want to be on the beach all day and in the backcountry for sure. But you still you need that purpose element. So it's like would I do this today, and fitting something in your life where you can have the choice. Man, that's the thing that I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to ever sacrifice. Like it's got rocked a little bit in this winter, and it reminded me, and everyone's different, like you say, right? It just reminded me of how important that choice is, where it's like I can do what I want to do when I want to do it, and I think that that's one of the biggest things that people are maybe striving for. But if you can get there, and a lot of the times I choose in the mornings, yeah, I'm going to the office because that's actually what I want to do. But if
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't, man, that would drain you. That would drain you. I have had that in my life before, though. I had it for 4 months, and
Yeah.
it like commuting into a job I didn't necessarily love. So
Mm-hmm.
I've lived that part too. Mm.
It's I think a huge thing is it's really it is hard to get to that step and to be comfortable. It's like the analogy I use is like I always call this like a life rut or a relationship rut. Like we kind of start here, and then as we start living our lives, we like start digging this trench and like going down and going down. It's like imagine being in a trench, and then while you're down there, all of a sudden it starts snowing. So now you got like 4 feet of powder on the side. Now you're
Yeah.
already down there, and you've been living this life, and your trench is really good. It's pretty easy walking in the bottom. You're just doing it, but now you kind of like see this like waterfall in front of you, and you can't climb the waterfall, so you got to start climbing up the trench on the sides.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of work. But then finally, when you get to the top, it's springtime, the grass fields there, you make it, and now you can just walk and just do your thing. But it's to get out of that trench. Like I said, I've experienced it in relationships, I've experienced it in life,
Yeah.
and I'm still in that damn trench, man. I'm
Yeah.
still like not up, but it's a lot of hard work, and
Yeah.
it's so easy to just stay in that trench and just keep on doing it, even if it's just like not exactly what I want to be doing. Like I said, 22 years of it, man.
Yeah.
22 years, I was just digging that trench, just one step at a time.
it's
So,
it's the gravity well. It's getting out of the gravity well. Like if you're where you're currently at, you're working your job and you want to do something else, or it doesn't matter, like just any transition in life, you have to break out of that gravity well. And it's like
mm,
that point where the rocket actually gets past the point where the gravity's no longer pulling it down, and then from there it's easy, right? But the amount of
mm.
force and energy that needs to go in to actually break free of that well, Dr. Seuss calls it being in the lurch, because I have a 6 month old, so I read her the Dr. Seuss books, but he calls it being in the lurch. And he's like, it's very difficult to get out of the lurch.
Lurch. I love that word.
Yeah, like I'm like, oh,
Lurch.
I'm in the lurch right now. Yeah. Anyway, but bringing it back to retirement, like when you think about that for yourself, it's like, okay, you project yourself out and you're 65. Like, what's going on there?
Dude, honestly, what I see, 65, it's like I'm going to be, I'm going to be, well, I'm going to be a coach or a teacher or something.
Yeah.
Like if I'm on a beach somewhere and I have my kites and I'm doing my thing, I'm going to be that guy that's like, see someone on the beach sitting there staring at me like some young kid. And I'm
Yeah.
going to go up and be like, hey man, do you want to learn how to do this? Because I'm going to know like what that means. I'm going to know how good that felt. And I've come up with this kind of idea the last little while, that what I
Hmm.
want to do is where I felt that there was nothing, that it didn't get done to me. I don't feel like I had someone that really reached out their hand to me and was like, I know this isn't what you want and I can see it. And I want to show you a different way. I want to show you
Yeah.
something different and something better. And I want to be that mentor, that coach for somebody where I can just be like, here, I can see you want to try this. Come and try it. And that's
Yeah.
what I see myself when I'm 65, just rocking around, like kind of helping out where I can, but choosing to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be doing it because I have to do it or I'm getting paid to do it, because I made my money. I have my stuff that's just chilling there. Now
Yeah.
I'm just rolling around the world, like doing whatever, showing people how to live the life. Just that's really what I feel like my life is going towards, and
I
that's
like
what I
that.
want.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like giving back, right? It's how can you relieve human suffering? By the way, that's where the
Mm,
easiest way to find out what your purpose can be. It's like, where would I be best suited to relieve human suffering? And
mm,
then you go to work there, and that will fulfill your purpose column we were talking about earlier, like crazy,
mm-hmm,
if you can find your spot to do that.
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, it's nice to say that, and the way I feel when I say that is like it's like my daydream. It's
Yeah,
it's it's really neat to like not be daydreaming about a Lamborghini and a freaking mansion. It's just like daydreaming about like somebody like looking, and I can like help them just be happy. Like
yeah,
that's, I don't know. It's just a good feeling to think that.
for sure, no question. Uh, cool, man. Well, that was a good Friday wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. I don't know. It's like, by the way, for those of you watching, Jamie comes up with the topics. I don't come up with the topics. I just like muddle around with the tech, fail at it a whole bunch, and then we're actually live though, thankfully. Like right now, it's actually working. And
Is it? Oh, nice.
yeah, yeah. And then yeah, Jamie comes up with the topics, and then we just ramble. So
Mhm.
who knows? Who knows what's going to be up next week? But this actually to kind of wrap up what we should talk about a little bit next week, and I should bring into our show is because I just finished up this summit interviewing these 30 people that are all elite, top, high level in their field, and actually kind of bringing it back a little bit to our conversation today, talking about purpose. One of the interesting things that came out of it, because the question that I asked all these speakers was, what's the one thing that owners, because I deal with business owners, but what's the one thing business owners should be thinking about to make sure that they're essentially building a financial asset instead of just like building a company? And the biggest, most resounding thing from all of them was the owner needs to know exactly what they want. They need to know what they want today. They need to know what they want like in the interim, and they need to know what they want when they exit their company, when they retire. Because like for an owner, for a
Hmm.
business owner, like retirement really is, you're not just like quitting your job at the end of the day. It's like you are going to sell your company to retire, hopefully. But the biggest key to success for that is knowing what it looks like afterwards, which is like it's so interesting because it wasn't like this like tactical thing that needed to be done, or like making sure your taxes are in order, or making sure that your valuation's perfect or whatever. The number one thing that came out was like knowing what you want afterwards, because if you don't know, then you actually have no way to be successful, which I thought was so cool. It's like if you don't know what success looks like afterwards, like how the hell are you even supposed to hit that target?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. That's.
it's kind of like duh, right? But that was
Mhm.
interesting. But next week we can maybe pull a couple of the other things that came out of that, because it was, I could even talk about like the marketing stuff that worked and didn't work, for those people that
Yeah.
watch us and are interested in the marketing things, because we learned a ton from the marketing side. Hmm.
Yeah. I think that'd be awesome. That'd be some huge value added for sure. I'd love to hear all about it too. Because yeah, man, that's what was the summit a success?
Oh yeah, man, we had 632 people.
Nice.
That's how many
Nice.
attendees we had. Which, I mean, I set these lofty goals because you might as well set these lofty goals. But we beat the pavement hard on social media to get people to turn out. And we had a lot of people turn out, and it it did better than covering its costs. Which kind of in year one when you're running an event is like let's cover the costs. So it did better
Hmm.
than that, which was great. Yeah, so we came out with our head above water, and we got a lot of good information out of people. So it was a
Nice.
complete success. Hmm.
Nice. Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
for
so good.
sure. Cool. All right. Well, thanks guys
Yeah.
for tuning in and watching. We'll catch you next Friday. The Friday
Awesome.
wrap up.
See you guys.
I'll give you an
Have a
update
good
on
weekend.
sledding in Ontario. Yeah. Cool.
Totally.
All right. Talk to you,
Okay.
buddy. Bye.
See ya.